Welcome back to a new video. So this was the day 3 of the week. So the previous day was just really light stuff and pulls, which I believe were in the last video if I recall correctly. But the goal today, really kind of in this first week, is to kind of calibrate things a little bit, but also more importantly was to get some work in off the blocks. And you can see here really nice blocks that the gym owner got for the gym. So Rob, he's the owner of the gym, and I don't usually post the location of the gym on my post, but I'm sure you can figure it out if you scroll back. But it is, Raw Performance and whatnot is what the gym is called. But the owner of the gym got these blocks essentially for me, which is really just awesome. Like, it's just such a nice thing, because other people probably will use them for deadlifts and stuff, but obviously I'll be the only one using for snatches for the most part, unless my good friend will do them occasionally. But I was working doing 5 sets of 3 at 85, and I kind of took the similar philosophy as the first day, where I made sure I got in all of the volume that I wanted to, and then if they felt good, then I pushed up a little bit. And so after doing the 5 sets of 3, I pushed up to 95, 105, and missed 115 the first time, but made it the second time. It was definitely the limit, or at least close to the limit of the day. But by the time I got to the last set, it felt really good. The fourth set was really horrible, and you kind of see there, I guess, kind of being over dramatic with that language, but certainly not as good as the other sets. But really just trying to move faster on the bar, trying to keep my shoulders over it. Similar things I was thinking with the no-foot snatches, but just trying to reinforce that and just trying to move fast and aggressive with my feet as well. Not necessarily this is the bad set. I can tell from that one, because that was like a makey miss. But not necessarily trying to slam my feet on the ground or anything, but just trying to be more intentional where they're moving and aggressive with them. If that makes them louder or whatnot, I suppose that's, it's not a big deal one way or the other. You can see here, dropped in front of the block just because I had to step forward with it. But like I said, not trying to make my feet necessarily louder or anything like that, and I can't really hear them anyway because of the headphones, but just trying to be more aggressive with them, just like I'm trying to be more aggressive with the lockout. So just trying to, I guess, correlate both of those feelings together. But generally pretty happy with how the block snatches went because I got the volume in, and I suppose it kind of takes the pressure off those heavy singles when I do 15 reps with a decent weight, and then do some extra reps at the end. Or maybe that was the third set and I think I did 2 more there, but either way, that one with that makey miss was the terrible set, and the rest of them were pretty good. The last 2, or I guess this last set here, were certainly the best. But feeling quite happy with it, and certainly like the recovery days that I had before, just really trying to work mobility. I did another one of those the day after this session, so on Saturday. Basically, the first part of it was just going for a walk in the morning. Not that that's necessarily like a workout or anything, but on the weekends I don't generally get that much extra activity in like I do when I'm teaching. Obviously, it's a huge advantage when you're a phys ed teacher. You're kind of always walking around. There's the 115 that I made, so I was pretty happy with that. But on the weekends I don't generally get a ton, and so I just went on a walk in the morning, and so I think I ended up with like 4,000 steps, which is not very much, but it was like 3,000 or something when I went on a walk. So a lot of that movement was in the morning. But like I said, I don't really worry about that, but it's just something on the weekends that's nice to kind of like, all right, let's see how many I can get on a walk or whatever, or just what happens if I can make it more brisk or whatever. It's quite chilly when I went on the walk this morning as well, which was kind of annoying, but at the end of the day it wasn't too big of a deal, as it was in the 30s, so with a winter jacket on it's not too bad, especially once you get moving. The block cleans they felt really good, but I think they fatigued me a lot, because I originally was planning on doing some front squats on this day, and just by the time I got to them I was just not doing them. Like, it was just I was just too tired. I think another factor that probably related to this was went to a birthday dinner with Justin, my good friend. I'm sure you've probably seen him in the background of videos if you've been watching long enough, but we went to Skyline, which is a very Cincinnati area, and the only other time I had it was actually, and I hate to say this, 10 years ago, because it makes me feel like I'm old, which I guess I am, but it was 10 years ago before I actually lived down here. I was at like a conference, and I think it was called NACA back in the day, but yeah, I just was offered the ability to go to a conference, and we drove down here to the Cincinnati area and had Skyline and had boiled hot dogs, and I was really just I was just annoyed that it was so terrible. And it's supposed to be like the big like this is a Cincinnati thing. But when I had it this time, there wasn't any boiled hot dogs in my food, which is good, but it was a lot better. And also probably was the fact that I was extremely hungry, but I was very full going into the session, full of food. So I don't know if that helped or hurt, but it just made the session happen later because we went, originally planned it was like 6, and then we weren't originally going to go to Skyline. It was going to be to a local place and then somewhere else, but because it was Friday at 6, it was really busy. So we just ended up going to the Skyline just because it wasn't just him, it was, his family and stuff went with him as well. But that was really enjoyable. But that just meant I got to the gym a little bit later. So by the time I got the front squats too, it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, all right, I really have no motivation to do them, and decided not to do them just because I was kind of gassed at that point, and just everything was just kind of sore at that point. The jerks that you see here is me just trying to experiment. I was moving the blocks around because some of them, that little wood piece you see on the top that kind of keeps the bar from rolling off and whatnot, there are different sizes on some of the larger blocks, and it might be something I can modify later to where they'll stack better and kind of hook together a little bit better, because some of them don't hook together very well, which is why I put those 2 skinny ones in the middle, and those don't have any of the wood blocks in the middle. And at least for jerks, they're kind of sliding around quite a bit, as you see me trying to adjust it with there. So I don't know how necessarily good they'll be for doing like really heavy jerks, but if I'm doing reps where I'm not really concerned about missing or whatever, I think it'll be a really good thing to have, especially like, push presses and whatnot. And even if I don't use them too much for jerks, just for doing block snatches and stuff, but I think modifying them so they'll stack a little bit better won't be a very difficult thing. And once they are, they'll kind of stay together better. Like the little ones, I can put the little pieces of wood to have them hooked together pretty well so they don't slide apart. But then you see I put these crash pads on top, and there's 2 reasons for that. I had a theory that the blocks underneath wouldn't slide as much with them, which I think was generally true. But then I also theorized that with them, or not really a theory, but obviously, increases the height another little bit, so I don't have to squat down as much to, get the bar up into the jerk, which was actually the perfect height because I didn't have to re-rack it in the top like I would with a clean. So I was able to hold it right in the grip that I would do jerks in. And so I believe I did 5 doubles, or I did 4 doubles. On the 5th set, I accidentally did a single, but I was planning on kind of pushing up a little bit to see, how I would feel if I went up to, it ended up being 130. And you'll see that the 130, for me, at least as far as training, I consider it a make because I just didn't want to drop it because my steps, I kind of stepped to the side a little bit. So I didn't want to drop it on the blocks sideways or whatever. So you'll kind of see like it slid off the front and whatnot. So probably will be something I don't generally try to like max out my jerk on these blocks necessarily, but a session like this to where I can load up 110 or a working set or working weights and just do a lot of practice with it will be a huge advantage, particularly in the cold months of the year, just to have something like this. Rob, the owner, said he's going to get more blocks anyway to make them a bit higher, so that will be good too, but I might try to modify them at some point for the top part pieces of wood, which really they just unscrew. So all it would take is unscrewing them and shaving down some of them to be a little bit shorter, because some of them fit really perfect and some of the others don't fit well with each other, and then potentially adding some extra pieces too. And you see they're dropping. And big piece of advice: if you're doing block work and you're worried, as you're dropping it down, don't try to save the bar, don't try to save the weights, just get out of the way. And thankfully, it's only 130 kilos, so it wasn't some sort of crazy weight, but nothing got damaged with it. But just kind of funny there at the end, it just rolled off the front of it. But yeah, that's the biggest advice with really any lift. If you're feeling like you're unstable, don't try to save it. Get out from underneath and run away from the weight, because a bar and a plate can be replaced, but your joint or your body cannot be replaced quite as easily. So it's a big piece of advice. If you ever feel that with any lift, not even just with block lifts, just get out the way. I feel like that's probably when most like crazy injuries you see happen, or people try to save a weight or whatever in some sort of like crazy fashion. And and I'm not one to say like you should never try to save a weight or anything like that, but I think anyone that has done snatch and clean jerks before knows the difference between trying to save a weight and it feels like it's in a weird position and trying to save that. I think that's where like the big injuries are more likely to happen. And at least there, when I'm dropping the jerk, it's more likely that the bar or whatever is going to get messed up and whatnot. But thankfully nothing got messed up, so it's really good. Thankfully, I didn't have more weight on the bar. It's a good thing to be weak, I suppose. But yeah, so I have that nice advantage, especially for block snatches and block cleans will probably be the main use of them. And then, obviously pulls kind of lead from that. But yeah, I'm really excited to have them. But this is kind of the like day 3 of the week. So the no foot snatches and power cleans and stuff on the first day. And then having the middle of the week still focus on getting the snatch and clean jerk volume in, but from the high blocks, and especially for me, doing them, trying to get fast underneath will just be a good thing to do. Even though I kind of like block work, particularly with the snatch, much more so than the clean. Still really good to do, but that kind of the day 3, and then today was just light and presses and muscle snatches and stuff, just where I did in my living room. So up to essentially like 43 kilos in the muscle snatch, and then doing some snatch grip press up to 30 kilos. Because I lift in pounds with the old plates I have that I brought in my house, but just some of those and a couple of overhead press really to stretch out my front rack. And like I said, just walking. Oh, the ab wheel as well. That's one thing I'll mention. So I know I have a lot of blank space at the end, but the ab wheel I did on the first light day that I had, so just essentially ab work. On the second day I tried to do, and I did like a modified version where I didn't go all the way out, but my abs were so sore from the first day. I only did, I think, 3 sets of 5. And I do them with my knees, or on my knees I should say, so I don't, can't do it like the full like calisthenics way, but on the third day, or the third light day, I just physically couldn't do them. Like my abs were so sore. My abs are still sore in this training session, it's still sore today, but I was able to do 3 sets of 3, so I want to get better at those. They're really difficult. At least they make my abs extremely sore. Like strength wise, I feel like I can do more reps, but it just is so difficult from like a muscle standpoint to do, that I can't really get much volume. Not that I necessarily think you need to get a ton of volume in, but that's kind of like the main ab thing that I'm trying to do on the light days. So goal of the light days, 2 of them is to do like overhead work, pressing and pulls, and then one of the days I guess is to do block pulls, and then abs on all of the days that are light in theory, and then some sort of pressing work and mobility work in that regard. So really kind of like 3 or 4 heavy days, and then 3 or 4 lighter days, focus more on mobility in the pulls and stuff, but the abs certainly make it difficult. But anywho, that's it for this one. If you made it to this point, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.